do a bit
I
of...
mean, we do have sound now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the levels going up and down and stuff.
Perfect.
There we go.
I did let them know that we were restarting too, so...
Yeah. So I guess for the benefit of the YouTube export, we started the session, then we had a recap of the previous session, and then now we're having a discussion about the sea and what lies beyond it, since Max has not witnessed the sea before. Okay, and back to it.
And scene.
And scene.
Honestly, I would like to see any other continents, save for, like, outside of Hyrule.
It's quite a journey,
Life must be
though.
so much easier there.
Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, how much do you know about the other places?
To be fair, not much. I know that the princes and princesses were tutored in foreign politics and things, and, well, I've picked up bits and pieces, but most of our tutoring was, like, domestic politics, and yeah, I've not heard much about Labrina or Holodrum. Just that they are places we trade with, as you said.
Yeah. So
I mean, like, we've gone to Rigenstead and it had its troubles, and then we went to Castletown and they had their troubles, and the ranch had their troubles. Why would a bigger place be any different?
You're right. You always do have the great way of seeing the negative in things, don't you, Hikan?
Negative? Hikan pouts and goes inside.
Okay. So, inside the tavern, you see a fairly sizable area. It seems to be about 50 foot squared. The interior of the tavern seems much like the exterior. It is quite run down, but that doesn't necessarily ward away customers. Compared to somewhere like the Wasp's Nest, which is also fairly run down, this place is absolutely thriving. There are a great number of individuals here wandering around and having a drink and having a good time. You see the source of the commotion as this Goron is shouting at this collection of thuggish individuals who are kind of sitting around a table, just kind of giving them what for, but they're kind of pointing and laughing and just kind of egging him on. A couple of the patrons look on kind of in a concerned fashion, but continue to enjoy their drinks. Most of the individuals in here are Hylian, but there are a healthy variety of Zora and Goron and many of the other races, including one or two Lizzlefoss who don't appear to be attempting to hide themselves like Sebastian does. But most notably, the individual behind the bar is a great big hulking River Zora, who kind of just leans on the bar and watches the commotion unfurling, and he's kind of wearing a dark greyish tunic that seems too small for him. He just kind of watches and growls to himself.
DM question.
Yes.
Does the Zora language, is the Zora language spoken by both River Zoras and others?
Yes.
Right.
Max follows in behind Hikan, slowly scans the room, just goes, nope, then leaves.
But
Wrench just like pulls his cloak a bit tighter around himself and tries to walk in as surreptitiously as possible towards the River Zora behind the bar.
Okay. So you head over to, you kind of push your way past the crowd slightly and maneuver your way over to the River Zora behind the bar. He towers over you. It's like even hunkered down, he's barely equal to your height. Even still standing a little bit taller than you, and he kind of looks at you and narrows his eyes and says, "What do you want?"
And in Zora, I only ask to inquire about rooms or any place of staying here in this locale.
He kind of like his red eyes, like glaring crimson eyes, just kind of like lower themselves and like to scan over you, and you say, "Well, if you want to stay for a room, that'll be 2 silver a night. But we don't have we don't have private rooms, as it were." And he kind of pushes himself up to his full height, and you can see now he is at the very least a head and shoulders taller than you. And as he looms, he says, "Our rooms are more like boarding rooms. They are shared amongst others, at least another 5 people. At which point you are to share effectively a top."
Right, so dormitories, I understand. We have people with us, 5 people. Would that be enough for a private room?
And he kind of looks over, and he kind of...
Of course, wish to recompense you for the empty bed, so that you will not lose any business or, of course, income for that.
Very well. And he leans down to grab a clipboard from beneath the bar and puts it down with this parchment on it, and he takes out a pencil. He says, "Does your party have a name that I can identify you with?" Come on, speak up, lad.
I'm sorry. I do not wish to speak for my compatriots just yet. I just wish to inquire about the possibilities. Thank you for mentioning your availabilities of the rooms. I will confer with my party. 1 moment, please. And I try and move back out to the rest of the people who might still be outside.
Okay. So as you turn and leave, he uses an exasperated sigh and then puts the clipboard away. As you maneuver out, you can still see that the Goron is being given some trouble by this thug, or these thugs that are just kind of sitting and chortling along with their fling insults. Mara has joined Max outside. I don't know what. I know Hikan, you're still in the building somewhere, and I don't know what Ziden's up to.
Indeed.
Ziden would probably stick with Max for now.
Okay.
So we can get rooms here if we want to. It'll be 1 point. It will be 1 gold piece, 2 silver pieces a night, I think, and we'll have to bunk up together in a dormitory. So I'm not sure if we want to stay here or find some place else. But to be fair, I can't gauge River Zora that well. The tutors that I've had in Hyrule Castle Town, well, we actually didn't even have Zora, so my accent might be a bit stiff. But I don't know. He seems unwelcoming.
Hmm.
Any thoughts?
Well, Mara kind of looks to the sky and says, "It's still early in the day. If there's any other places that we can find, then we can go and have a look. But it's up to you."
I mean, to be fair, and I might as well want to look around and see other places, but I'm not sure about the others.
I'm go looking around.
Okay.
Exploring sounds good.
Shall I try and find Hikan?
Meanwhile, with Hikan back inside Echo's Lament, what are you up to, friendo?
So I walk over to the barkeep and actually let me see what money things I have. So I ask him, how much for an ale?
And he kind of he narrows his eyes again at you, because your slight frame compared to most of the sailors that he's had to deal with, and he says, "An ale, you say?"
Mm-hmm. Or rum, if you got it.
Rum. Well, now that is a interesting request for someone of your size and stature.
I'm used to it.
If you're looking for ale, then it'll be 4 copper a mug. If you're looking for rum, it'll be a silver a mug. Of course, prices will differ depending on the type of drink that you want.
Well, I'll take 2 rum. And I put 2 silver on the table. And I ask him, what's going on over there with those guys? When you came up, the Goron was thrown out. What happened?
And as he kind of takes your money and then begins to pour 2 mugs of rum, he kind of leans on the bar and eyes the group again, says, "We get all sorts coming in this place. Everyone is welcome here, of course." And he kind of pats his chest, and he says, "But that doesn't mean that is a shared view among everyone here. A lot of the sailors don't take kindly to Gorons because of their inability to swim. I believe those 4," and he points to the 4 thugs who are kind of giving this Goron trouble. "I believe they've been working for a ship, or at least they say they've been working for a ship in the employ of the Brass Bell Trading Company. They get a lot of trade, you see, so they get a lot of money and they feel like they are worth more."
Are they normally... What's the word? Rowdy?
We do get a lot of fights in here, but then you spend a lot of time out on the sea, you see. And he kind of eases up into the conversation and leans on the bar again. But you can see that he grits his jagged teeth as he speaks, and he says, "You spend a lot of time on the sea, and you don't get much time to enjoy yourself when you get shore leave, especially when you're with a big trading thing. You need to spend all that time somehow. And most sailors tend to take to drink, and they take to good women, and they take to other less scrupulous things while they're here. Usually go through their pay within the period of a couple nights and then have to go back on the ship to earn more pay. It's a vicious cycle, truth be told, but keeps me in business as long as they don't break my furniture. And he raises his voice as one of the thugs is kind of like just going to pick up a stool, and then looks over to the barkeep and then frowns and slowly puts the stool back down. And the barkeep just shakes his head and says, I give them a lot of leeway as long as they don't break my things. But they've already broken a window using that gourd over there, so I'm just going to give them a few more minutes of drinking and laughing, and then I'm going to throw them out the door.
What if... Is the Goron still sitting over there arguing with him?
He's more standing as he argues, but yeah, he's still there. He refuses to back down.
What about the Goron? Is he a regular?
He comes in occasionally. He delivers stuff from Death Mountain for the Long Nine, which is a armament and firearms shop here. Usually sells stuff to ships for their own defense. But he does stop by occasionally. Nice bloke, but he is quite arrogant in his own way. Refuses to back down, won't take any lip from the young'uns.
Alright. But would you say that, well, I don't know. What if, so pretty much we could do whatever we want as long as we don't break your furniture.
Don't break the furniture, don't break the windows, don't break the glass or the cutlery, and make sure you pay your due at the end of the day, and then, yeah, you can do whatever you like.
Alright. And, my friend there was asking about some, what was it, rooms for the
Yeah.
night? You got
Wait.
any issue with people taking those?
Can Hikan speak Zora?
No, is
Oh, were you speaking that in Zora?
I was speaking Zoran, yeah.
Oh shit.
Hence the accent.
That's fair. That's fair. I can't speak Zora yet. But... what was my friend asking you about?
Well, your friend was asking about possible accommodations. As I explained to him, we don't have private rooms. You have a board room, effectively, that you share with at least another 5 people.
Okay. Has there been many issues in the boardrooms? You know, people doing things that they probably shouldn't be?
I mean, the windows are still there, and whatever furniture's in there hasn't been broken. Might need a clean every now and again, but this is mainly
Nobody's saying anything about taking things or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, all the doors have locks on them.
Okay. Okay, that seems pretty fair. Alright then, and I'll take my rums, and I will go over and talk to the Goron.
Okay. So you wander over past the crowd and you go to speak to this Goron, who's still in the middle of this shouting match with a couple of these thuggish sailors. As you get there, he's like, I tell you one thing that you cannot take from me, and that is my pride. I am a worthy man of this world. Who are you? Excuse me.
I'm just a very curious person there. When you showed up, noticed that you ended up getting... you got back up, and you came back in, and it's very admirable. And I figured that I wanted to buy you a drink, and I give him my extra rum.
And he kind of like looks at you, and the small smile creeps on his face, and one of the thugs says, Oi, kid, listen, mate, you don't want to be wasting your good rum on something that just can't hold up in this area of the world, right? And before taking the rum, the Goron turns around and says, "Oi, you shut up!"
Hold on. We could. I mean, the issue is that the Gora can't hold up. You say?
Yeah, that's right. Not many things that can't swim can really hold a good drink down.
Oh, okay. I look over at the barkeep and I ask, because this has happened in this. You got any Goron rot?
And there's a pause as like the Goron next to you just kind of his eyes widen and he looks at you and is like, "How'd you know?" And then the barkeep says, "I've got a couple bottles. Have you got 20 gold? It's not exactly cheap stuff."
You know, I don't. But I'll see
do.
if I can. Oh, right.
And at that moment, because I was going to look for you, I am wide-eyed looking at Hikan and saying, that shit is terrible. It tastes really bad, and it'll make you go, well, unconscious for a moment. Are you really sure about this?
Look. The Gorons can handle it, so these sailors should be able to handle it, right? If they're half as tough as they say they are. It surely wasn't because they were 4-on-1.
They're Hylians!
Ooh, make a
do
deception
that
check
to-
with advantage. I love this.
I'm in for this.
Okay.
16. So one of the says, Goron rot. I've never heard of Goron rot. It's probably some pansy water drink. And
Listen. It made my dad go blind after like 2 sips. It's terrible. Don't do it. It's pure poison.
Don't
Just
listen to him. Look at him. He's skinnier than I am.
Hey, I am fit.
at which point,
Tell you what, Renji, I will go halfsies on it. If they can sit there and handle it, I will pay you back the other 10 gold. How's that sound?
Come on. Fine if that's really what you want to do.
Okay.
And I hand him. This is going to be terrible. I hand you 2 platinum pieces because I don't have 20 gold pieces with me.
okay. So as you do this exchange over, one of the thugs a different thug pipes up this time and says, "Oi, what do we get out of this if we win?" And says, yeah, what do we get? I got an idea. And he points at the Goron and says, "If we can stomach this Goron rot piss water that you say you have to stay out of this bar forever. And we'll make sure of that." And the Goron just kind of looks over. He looks to you, Hikan, and then looks to you, Renji, and then turns around and smiles, says, "Deal." And he's like, "All right then, bring us the drinks, Merktooth." And the barkeep just takes these 2 cast iron bottles and just like carries them over with like a series of shot glasses and puts them on the table and says, This will probably be enough to not kill you." And
how many Zoras are there around, would you say?
There are 2 River Zoras, both of which are kind of just hiding in the corner. One of them appears to look like a lionfish, and the other one appears to be something of a stingray. And there is another River Zora who's kind of conversing with a couple of other Hylians who are in a different corner with their own little table.
Then softly, so that I don't mind people overhearing, but at least that Murktooth, the barkeep, would hear. I say, I am terribly sorry that my friend wants to, have this scene, but he's a good person, and I would think that these people deserve a lesson, don't you think?
Oh, indeed. And just as he responds, one of the thugs says, "Shot glasses, mate. Look, we're gonna tank this shit. Just give us some mugs." And your funeral. And he goes out and gets a couple of mugs and puts them down, fills all 4 of them to the brim, and says, "Good luck."
Before they go over to grab it, I look at them and I put my hands over the cups and I go, "Now you see, obviously my friend and I have our own little bet thing here, but you see, if you guys can't handle it, then I think that since you'd learn that obviously Mr. Goron here, since it's his people's drink, is pretty good about making it, and it's pretty hearty, that you just spread it among your friends and just say other friends that Gorons aren't to be trifled with." I mean, you're confident, so you can't really lose much. But...
That's it. That's all you want.
Yeah.
It's just to
That's
spread the word.
That's all I want.
I agree. Pay it forward, as it were.
And the Goron just kind of folds his arms and says, "For the sake of you going ahead and humiliating yourself in front of your peers, well, of course, that'll be fine enough. Allow me to watch first. That would be funny." And so, "All right, fine. We'll go for it. Sure, why not? Now, can you let us have our drinks?"
I wave him on, and I'll look at Renji and say in Sheikah, "Have you heard of the Best Breast Bell Trading Company?"
Doesn't ring a bell, no.
Okay. So, the thugs before you, they turn to their drinks, they do a half-hearted cheer and clink of their mugs, and they all effectively in unison down the drink.
Constitution saving throws.
Constitution saving throws.
Can't wait to come back and find that you killed
Constitution
people.
saving? Yeah. They
And
downed
given that
a mug.
they downed a mug, yeah, that would be disadvantage, wouldn't
I
it?
hope.
So that is in order of natural rolls, because I can't be bothered to get their stat sheets up. Alright, so I have a +2 to the Constitution, so totals would be... we have a 9,
Okay.
an 11,
Okay.
a 13,
Okay.
Getting there.
and a natural 1.
Yeah, there we have it.
The DC on Goron Rot is ludicrously high, because as you've probably been made, if you haven't been made aware, your Goron friend will likely explain the mechanics of it. Not only does it have very strong spirits in it, but it also has stuff like sulfur, and like other kind of not really safe for consumption sort of things, at least not for not for non-Gorons. And
Like, Renji's had a sip of it, right?
Renji had a sip of it
passed
and
out.
was unconscious for 20 minutes. So these guys just downed a mug full. And in that process, one of them just like opens his mouth to speak, says, "It's a bit as they all just collapse on the table, out cold. and there is a raucous cheer from everyone else in the bar who had gone silent as they watched this whole thing unfold. And they say, the guy says, "Well, I guess I can stick around for a day or two to wait for them to wake up."
I think they'll need that, yes. Also, be sure to deduct the cost of a dormitory from their purses. Seems only fair.
Merktooth Shakes says, "No, they passed out in the tavern room, and I was going to shut them out anyway. They're sleeping on the streets tonight."
Fair enough.
And with his bulk, just kind of begins to pick one up by the collar and just drag him out of the bar towards the door. Just whoop, just one, and then slowly, begrudgingly, just get the rest as he pulls them out. Oh dear.
I will give him a hand.
Oh. But yeah, he just kind of upends these thugs and throws them out. And the Goron turns to you, Hikan, and says, "It's nice to know that there are people out there who are willing to look out for folks like me."
You're just a guy sitting there trying to have a good time, enjoying his drink. Nothing wrong with that.
Remind me to treat you to something if we meet again. I've got business to attend to. I was too caught up in this, but if you're ever in Death Mountain, or if I'm ever here in Sarcossa, just ask for Rodo.
Rodo the Goron. Got it.
Alright. You guys have yourselves a good time. And he...
You too. Take care.
Don't let thugs like them get under your skin like that anymore. You know how to fix it. And I nod over towards the Goron rods.
And he kind of chuckles to himself and nods as he waves behind him and heads out. Those outside who may not have been privy to the whole thing, just after a few moments of Renji going in to find Hikan, the River Zora bartender just throws, with the help of Hikan, throws 4 of these sailors out onto the pavement outside the tavern, and then just wanders back in. They don't appear to have been beaten up, but they are equally just out cold.
So, Hikan, what I actually came here to ask is, we were trying to find accommodation for the coming few nights that we're here.
Mhm.
It's possible to stay here in a dormitory, but me and Max at least were interested in trying to see if there's any nicer place, probably with actual mattresses.
Hey, that's fine. If not, there's always here, so.
That's true.
And we made a friend, and I think the barkeep, he's just a little grumpy on the outside because he has to be. And I say that quietly, but not quietly enough to result for a sneak thing.
Yeah, I suppose. And besides, we're speaking Sheikah, so.
Fair. Okay. Alright. Let's go take a look around town. Oh! Do you have that pendant that Sho took from Ramon? Or the dagger that your dad had?
Do I?
It depends. Who took all the clues?
Because I don't have it in my inventory.
Well, even if we don't have the pendant because we gave it to the guards, we can see if Mara picked up the dagger or if your dad did. Because that might be important. Okay, so I will accompany Renji outside.
Okay.
Chooses to go that way.
Yep. So you guys head out and meet with your companions again. Mara just kind of looks at the 4 unconscious individuals and back to you guys and say, does this sort of thing happen often with you guys?
I say
People
it
getting
tends
thrown
to
out of
happen, yeah.
bars? It's happened a few times.
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Stuff like this, no, they were being really mean to the Goron that left just to the Goron that we found when we came up.
And we tend to
so-
not be on the receiving end of this.
No.
Right.
Hey, do you have that dagger that Renji's dad showed us?
Oh, I think so, yeah. And she rummages in her pack and brings out the dagger that looks like the Northern Star, and like holds it out as if to have someone take it from her. And she says, "This thing, right?"
Yeah. I will grab it and put it either in my inventory unless someone else wants it. All right. Add. Okay. Okay.
So, where to?
Well, Sarcossa's got parts of town that aren't on the docks or near the docks, right?
Yeah. It's a fairly sizable town, which kind of runs up the slope, that are more inland. Yeah, so it's not all like bordered onto the ocean side.
Okay. I think because the bartender was saying that sometimes the sailors get rowdy, we'll probably do better if we go to the other part of town, trying to find someplace a little bit quieter, if that's what you guys are looking for.
That is something that I would prefer. To be fair, I'm not looking for anything too high-end. I didn't really ask my father to renew my allowance. So I don't have too much on me.
Are you sure you're not grounded? That's not in character.
I am not sure I'm grounded. I would probably not be here if I was.
Well, we gotta find places where we found out how much they are.
Okay. So, to begin your investigating of the town to find a place, roll investigation rolls for me, please. Are you sticking together, or are you going individually?
I wouldn't mind going together, but like if we're separating, then we need to like figure out a place to rendezvous.
I think it would be best if we stuck together since it's a newer town.
Yeah, none of us have been here before.
Also, who has a high investigation and wants some help?
No.
I have a +2. That's it.
That's 4 better than me. I will assist Renji with investigating.
Okay.
Everyone help.
So that is
Investigation with
an
advantage.
8
Oh no!
Okay.
instead of a 3.
Instead of a
Which would have
3. Okay. Right. So you begin wandering around town.
Can other people roll? Or just Renji?
If it's mainly if someone is leading the investigation. So you can if you wish to.
Why not?
Mhm.
21.
21. Okay. So, it takes a little bit, but you find you find a variety of places, not necessarily inns. You begin to start on the shoreline, at which point you find that really when it comes down to it, one half of the shore area is more the portmaster's building and a bunch of taverns or stock places like warehouses, and on the other side are the big elaborate buildings that seem to be for something of nobility, but also possibly the headquarters of like trading companies and stuff like that. Heading further inland, you
Nouveau riche.
very Pirates of the Caribbean sort of not Commodore Swan, Governor Swan sort of things. As you head further inland, you find there's not much in the way of organization. Like, it's not like Hyrule Castle Town where everything is in its own quadrant sort of area. It's basically a series of residential areas or homes mixed in with a bunch of shops and inns and stuff like that. And while there are clusters of areas that could be considered like a small shopping district, it's not as organized. You find two places that are not the Crow's Lament. One is the Waiting Abyss. Judging by the burly Dynalfoss bodyguard, who seems to be standing by the door, and the general dark tones and the disapproving look said bodyguard gives you as you wander past, you can tell this is probably a very high-end...
Did we lose Artie?
Oh,
That was just me.
okay. How much did everybody else hear?
All of it.
Okay. So let's see. I've lost my play. Okay, so it seems that the Waiting Abyss it's a high-end place, but not probably entirely legal. And or at least it's shady. And the only other place that you have is just the Sarcossa Inn, which is a very small establishment, but is a lot quieter, and it is also a lot more well-to-do looking compared to the Crow's Lament. Inside, you find that there is you find that the bartender is standing on a stool, for he is a Deku scrub, and he's just kind of like as he waits for something to do and waits for people to come in, he's just kind of lightly tapping and bobbing to a rhythm that seems to be playing in his own head because there's no bard. And there are a couple of people in there who are just kind of enjoying a drink. The only other notable features is that it's significantly smaller than the Crow's Lament, and there is a notice board on one wall, which appears to be empty.
Do you mind if I pop in here and ask for the prices?
Yeah, sure.
Right. I step inside, walk over to the innkeep.
Hello.
Good day.
Hi, welcome. This is the
Thank you.
Sarcossa Inn. My name is Thicket. It's nice to see you and other people in here. We don't get a lot of customers. How can I help?
I was wondering what the prices were to rent rooms or a room for a couple of nights.
Room for a couple of nights, huh? Okay. Our rooms are very nice. They're nice, comfortable rooms. So that'll be 8 silver pieces per room per night.
8 silver per room per night. Does that, for instance, include double rooms?
Well, the rooms have 1 bed, but they can accommodate 2. I don't have any spare beds, so one of you might have to sleep on the floor.
I'm okay with that.
We could have a couple of rooms, say we're with 5, that would be 4 rooms, I would say. Unless maybe Ziden wants to sleep. Let me talk this through with my friends, alright?
Sure. No worries.
And your name again? I didn't catch it the first time, sorry.
Thicket.
Thicket. Thank you. One moment, please. And I head to the rest again.
Okay.
So there aren't any like extra beds in the room. Just separate rooms. 8 silver pieces a night per room. So that's 4 times as expensive. But it's quieter, and I prefer some quiet for the night.
I'm just gonna look at the others because
How long are we planning on staying?
How long are we planning to have this?
we have no idea how long it's gonna take.
Exactly.
Oh, also, technically you won the bet, and I sneak 10 gold into Renji's thing while I'm thinking about it.
Oh, thank you.
I'm fine with either. I'm not big on the numbers, but, if it makes everyone else feel a bit more comfortable, that's fair. We would have our own dorm thing, whatever they're called, at that other place, and they did have blocks, and there normally isn't much that goes on there. But if this makes you feel more comfortable, then I'm fine with here. I also think that here, maybe if we can find any places that take care of it, might be a better area to get answers with this. And I flip the dagger in my hand a couple times.
As a knocking kind of resonates by the door frame, you turn and see a fairly well-dressed man, Hylian man at the very least. He appears to be wearing quite expensive-looking finery, and he has this long, curly black hair. And this very finely trimmed mustache and beard combo. And he kind of leans as he looks in and says, Theokert? And the Deku Scrub kind of perks up and says, "Oh, hello, Mr. Fairwind. It's nice to see you again." And the man says, "Yes, well, I was wondering if I could make use of your notice board. I had something that needed to be taken care of." And sure, feel free, come on in. And the man enters, and he has a very proper stride about him. He keeps both his hands behind his back, and following him in are 2 creatures, which are roughly the size of large dogs, but they are covered in armor-like scales, and they kind of prowl as if they're like big cats. They look like dragons almost, but they're very kind of more dog-like, and they have these brilliant blue scales. And they sort of kind of maneuver themselves next to the door and then very obediently sit as this man wanders over to the notice board.
Max is staring at the dogs.
Pardon me for overhearing, sir, but this notice board, you mentioned you needed something taken care of?
Oh, well, yes. And he kind of takes the parchment he was going to put on the thing, hands it to you to read, and says, "You see, it seems that recently I have had something stolen from me. It appears that someone has stolen my shipping manifests from my study and the previous night. I was hoping someone would be able to find the culprit."
Well, that does seem like a dreadful situation. I'm sorry that this happened to you.
As you
I look over at the...
As you look at the paper, it kind of details like find missing item, meet with Richard Fairwind at the Fairwind Trading Company building, reward 300 gold pieces.
I look over at the others and I ask, given that we don't have any particular leads at this moment, what would you say we try our hand at some other investigation? And I hold up the parchment for them to read.
Max is slowly inching towards one of the dogs.
It
Max?
remains sitting there, statuesque.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get a better look at them.
They appear, as I said, they appear very, while they kind of are the size of large dogs, they hold themselves with a sort of big cat sort of presence. And they do look, they appear very well trained. And judging from, they have a little horn on the end of their snout. And these big heavy-set jaws that look like a bite could take a man's arm off in one chomp.
Do those scales look familiar?
Make a general intelligence check for the sake of memory.
15.
Kind of. They do remind you of dragon scales, but they're not as if you would imagine a dragon's hide to be like. They seem very plate-like. Yeah.
Max then realizes that Renji's been looking at him and goes, "Oh, sorry."
That's quite alright. Appreciate
What were you
the
saying?
curiosity, but we might as well, earn our keep in the city here, whilst we have our own investigation. This seems like a great idea to just get a lay of the land, figure something out, get some money in the process.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Well,
Ziden, Hikan?
Sounds sensible.
what's missing?
Shipping manifest. Basically, just
Good luck.
data. Yeah. Sir Fairwind,
Yes.
the shipping manifest, was it parchment, paper, vellum, a book, a ledger?
A series of ledgers, as it were. About 5 in total.
Right.
Would you be able to list as many details as possible with regard to colour, materials, and that?
Brown leather, roughly this big, and he kind of gestures his hands. Gold leaf engraving on the front.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, you can have a look at my study. It is where I kept them. The window was wide open when I found that the ledgers were missing.
That sounds like a good idea.
Well, if we all are in agreement, then Sir Fairwind, we will take your case.
Very well. Thicket, and Thicket said, "Yes, sir. I won't be needing to use your notice board for today, but thank you regardless." And he says,
Oh, no problem, Mr. Fairwind. Feel free to come back anytime.
and he gives a nod and says, "Well, shall we?"
I think we shall.
Okay. And he slowly and casually wanders out the door. As he moves between the two guard creatures, they stand and then closely and obediently follow their master.
Are the guard creatures beasts?
Give me a second to check. I think they might be... No, they are not.
Ah,
Sir, may I ask, these these creatures you have here, guard dogs? What are they? They
Oh,
seem like unlike any creatures I've ever seen before.
they are creatures that I have found on a small excursion up to the north one time. I believe they are called guard drakes.
Hmm. And they seem well trained for one, but despite their bearing, they look like rather ferocious creatures.
Oh, yes. Admittedly, I would have probably settled for a normal guard dog for the sake of fulfilling its duty, but I am a fan of exotic creatures. Oftentimes I do find myself with a small collection. I believe I have an aviary in the back garden of my trading company headquarters, with a variety of birds that I have grown rather attached to.
Well, they do look like fascinating creatures. And if you say that you are a collector of some kind?
In a sense, I just have a fascination with various animals.
Sounds like quite a expansive hobby. Needs a lot of time and effort, I would say.
Oh, indeed. But it is definitely worth it, and not many times do my ships come back into port for me to have to take care of certain paperwork, so I have time to kill, as it were. Though, on to
Do
other
you like
matters.
horses?
Horses?
Yeah.
Yes, I do find myself to be an appreciator of horses.
Okay. Because we stopped by Lon Lon Ranch. It's really nice up there.
I have heard. I haven't been myself, but I do know that they raise some quality horses.
They do indeed. Actually, my own horse is from their stables. As are most of the horses in use of the Hylian Guard at Castletown.
Oh. Intriguing. So, do you work for the castle, then?
In a manner of speaking, yes. My family has old ties.
Very well. That is very interesting to know. I did have a feeling that you were all not from this town, I believe. I have been around for a while, so I have become aware of individuals in this town and the finer details.
What gave our unfamiliarity with the locale? What gave it away?
Well, not many
As the
locals.
camera as the camera pans out to three people that look more road weary and traveled, and a very big noble person.
And he says, well, not many of the individuals that are locals here that are not guards are armed.
Yeah, that's quite fair enough.
So I must ask, what brings you here to Sarcossa Port Town?
To be honest, some investigations of our own. We are looking for some information on an issue that's rather dear to my own heart. A friend of mine has gone missing, and we are trying to ascertain whereabouts. So far, we not any leads, but we are hopeful.
I see. Well, if there's anything I can do to help you out in that case, then I shall do so. But, of course, that is only fair. As he kind of, as you, like, it takes a while for you guys to maneuver through town and eventually find yourselves back near the shore and on your way to the trading house, or trading company buildings. I'd say because your passive perceptions are high enough, Renji and Ziden, you kind of cast a glance at the to the side, and you see that one of the ships in particular has a throng of guard, just kind of inspecting it and talking to individuals, presumably sailors. This is a lot more guard than you would expect for something like this, as it were. You'd expect like a visit from the portmaster and maybe a small contingent of guard, but otherwise there's like 6 or 7 people here, or 6 or 7 guardsmen here, and nothing seems to be moving on or off the ship.
I just glanced around. Do I notice any familiar symbols, such as
Flag.
or a star?
Make a perception check.
I should be good at those. 25.
Okay.
Yay.
You don't notice any stars. As you're wandering through like past the harbor, you notice that there are a collection of docks that are effectively unmarked, and they also contain a series of pontoons for smaller ships. But for the big trading galleons that kind of come into port, there are several docks that are marked specifically. There's one that appears to have a brass bell that kind of just hangs next to a pole next to a couple of other larger docking areas. There's one that appears to be a gust of wind. None of the ones that have a gust of wind appear to have any ships docked in them, and there also appears to be 1 or 2 which seem to have something of like a lighthouse insignia next to it, and there's one ship that's currently docked in one of those parking spots, for lack of a better term.
So Fairwind, you seem to be more familiar with the area. Would you say there are places in the city to avoid?
Oh, well, that is a loaded question. For the most part, there are at least 1 or 2 places that you would want to avoid, at least for legal reasons. The Waiting Abyss, as my employees tell me it, is apparently a gambling den. It has...
We did pass that, yes.
It has a standard for its clientele, of course, and it does have rooms to stay, but, well, it is the site for nefarious activities and crimes, but no one can really get in, not even the guards can get in. It's a wonder the place is still in operation. There is another place as well. There will be a building in one of the residential areas that just has the word shop that is next to a door. It is a fence, from what I understand, but I have got no further details in that. But for the most part, from what I understand in my time here, for the last week or so, it has been not safe to be anywhere outside during the night. Dangerous fog has rolled in, and that fog apparently contains some nasty individuals who will be willing to utilize that cover for the advantage of theft, or perhaps something worse.
Yeah, I heard about that.
We still have plenty of daylight before us in order for you to have a... Sorry, you cut out a bit.
Oh, I did say that we've had some experience with the fog on our way into the city.
That is a good thing you were not caught in it. We still have plenty of daylight ahead of us, of course, but I would say that we best do what you can before it becomes sundown. It's not a mandatory curfew, which is merely advised.
Well, that is good to know.
Hmm.
What would happen if one were to be caught out during the curfew?
Well, legally nothing. You're more than welcome to wander the streets at night. We just provide something of a curfew warning for the sake of people's safety. After all, it is a thick fog that the guards cannot truly see through, and, well, that means that your safety is in your own hands after that.
That's quite a fair ruling, of course, but I am sure we'll keep away from the streets or any unsafe areas. Thank you for that information, sir.
Of course. And he continues to lead you up, and then eventually comes before this nice big building, 3 stories tall, brilliant architecture, beautiful place. And there are a couple of guards who are standing outside the door. It's almost reminiscent of the noble houses back in Hyrule Castletown. And he then leads you inside, and there are these brilliant marble floors and a long staircase directly in the center on the opposite side of the room. And there are a couple of people wandering around with like papers and jotting down notes. As you came in, next to the entrance of the building, there was a symbol of a lighthouse that was kind of emblazoned on a plaque on the way in. But without really stopping to speak to anyone, Mr. Fairwind takes you through the building to a side room and into a small area where there is a desk, or a couple of desks, and a series of bookshelves. And there appears to be a window that has been boarded up. And he says, this is the study where the ledgers were found. We left them on the desk over there. And he points to one of the desks and says, feel free to have as much of a look around as you feel is necessary.
Okay. Ziden will head in and start looking for clues.
Okay.
I would like to help if your investigation skill is higher than mine.
It's a whole 3.
Wow, that is 5% more chance of success.
I'm gonna make my own roll because I feel like rolling.
Okay.
I
Okay.
will help Max.
I'm gonna use guidance.
Okay.
I got 15.
I've got a natural 20
Huzzah!
plus a 2.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Fairwind,
Yes.
why would someone want to take your ledgers?
Well, in many instances, knowing what you have been trading is a good way to plan further heists. I wouldn't put it past some nefarious pirates to utilize them to know exactly what it is that my company trades in, so that they can tell what is of value and what is not, and then attack ships tactically, as opposed to doing so at random and hoping for something good.
What do you trade in?
Generally anything that comes out of Holodrum.
Oh.
And exclusively Holodrum?
Yes, we only have so many ships to spare, and the trip to Holodrum is at least a month by sea, so we really can only focus on one continent at a time. When the company becomes greater and we get more ships to our fleet, we will then proceed to trade with Librina and any other continent or kingdom that wishes to do business with us.
Let's see. Well, are there any current rivaling trading companies that you would think have any advantage in you losing your manifest?
Well, the only other trading companies within this town, at the very least, would be the Brass Bell Trading Company, who operates next door to the right, and the Zephos Favor Trading Company, who operates next door to the left. They are both in direct competition with us.
We ran into some people of the Brass Bell. Do you know if their boss is a kind of a good guy?
Oh, let's see now. And he kind of thinks a bit. And he says, well, I believe ArticulateT is... he's a trying old man, truth be told. And as for your investigation rolls, let's see. So, with Max, you kind of have a look around near the window. You find that it has been recently boarded up, and as you kind of look around, you see flecks of glass that are on the floor. Whatever it was had broken. Whatever it was, you can assume probably came in, broke the window on the way in rather than on the way out. The desk itself is right next to the actual doorway, or the right next to the window that was broken. So it would have been a very quick smash and grab if that was the case. As for you, Ziden, you kind of have a look around and you find that either the folks who do the cleaning in this place do a really stand-up job, or the ledgers were the only things that they took. Because you would expect that if it was more of an kind of spur-of-the-moment stealing thing, that there would be more chaos or more things thrown around or more things broken in the hopes of trying to find something that looks immediately and obviously valuable. But the rest of the room seems in good order, and most of the chaos is kind of contained within that area of the room next to the window and the desk. There's not much else about it. It seems that whatever came in to steal the ledgers knew what they were looking for.
So Ziden will then speak up, saying, it would seem the ledgers were their exact target, given the lack of any further damages to the room.
So that would rule out any opportunistic thieves or robbers, because that's the only thing that was taken, and it doesn't seem like a valuable thing for the untrained eye. To the untrained eye. Just this was their goal. They've managed to find it and take it and leave.
They didn't have to look around much, so they might have known where it was.
Ziden, as you kind of say this, you cast another glance around, and nearby next to the desk, with your natural 20, you see that there's something sticking out in the desk drawer. And as you kind of wander over to have a look at it, it looks like a small tuft of fur.
Ziden will carefully take it out.
Okay. It's not attached to anything inside the drawer, thankfully. But it seems very coarse, and it's this kind of creamy white color, and you find that it doesn't feel natural in your fingers. It doesn't feel like any natural creature that you've encountered before.
Would I be able to assume it's torn off of a coat or something?
Maybe. You think if maybe they're wearing a fur coat, maybe the thing itself wasn't strictly a beast or a naturally occurring animal. Maybe
Fairwind has mentioned that he is a fan of animals as well, so maybe it's just something from a previous encounter, but it seems weird that the rest of the room is nearly spotless, and yet this desk has got, like, fur, like, caught in one of the parts of it.
What was in said drawer part?
As you open it, you see that there is a couple of ledgers, or a couple of ledgers that are different from the ones that Fairwind has described. But as you kind of inspect them, it's quite clear that because of the leather backing on the actual ledger itself, it appears that something sharp has grabbed this, or something has punctured the leather covers of this slightly, as if whatever had done so had claws.
Ziden will show this discovery to the rest of the party.
But
And you said it doesn't feel like regular fur, right, Ziden?
No. Did we have, what was her name? Mara?
Yeah, Mara's been with you the whole time.
I'd ask Mara if she recognizes this fur fuzz.
Let's see. She examines it. She takes out her almanac sort of book and flicks through it. It's not anything I've encountered before. It's weird.
So it was something that came in through the windows, grabbed the ledgers, and then poked something with claws, leaving fur.
maybe it was looking at these and figured out they were the wrong ones. These books.
Are we on the first story?
Yeah, they're on the ground floor.
Okay, never mind then.
Well, what is your next plan of action, if I might ask?
Do you have any ledgers remaining?
Only a few from a long time ago. Something,
Are they made in the same sort of style and all that?
Yes.
May I examine one?
Sure. And he then goes over to a set of drawers and pulls out a little ledger type thing with the gold leaf engraving and passes it to you and says, "That was back from 10 years ago. I don't trade in the items that we contain in those anymore."
That's okay. I only sort of needed an idea of the item itself.
Okay.
And Ziden will take a while just inspecting the item to use locate object at some point.
Okay.
Which case... So we have a strange piece of fur. Or not fur, possibly. A claw mark in a book.
Yep.
And a smashed in window. If we head on outside and Ziden will attempt to locate object for a different ledger.
Okay.
The rest of us can look for tracks outside the window.
Okay, so you head outside. Those of you looking for tracks, roll survival for your tracking, and those of you casting detect object, cast detect object.
Is it possible to investigate the ethereal plane if I use blink?
If you wish to.
Yeah, I'm going to try and do that without Sir Fairwind seeing. So
Okay, so I won't make you roll stealth. Fairwind's going to stay inside as he kind of watches you leave. So for survivals, let's see. Max, you have a look around on the floor near the window, and you see that there are a couple of tracks. The paw prints there seem canine in nature. There's a set leading to the window, then out the window, and heading north.
How big are they?
Fairly large. You'd assume if it was a normal dog, it would be about the size of, say, a wolf, maybe a bit bigger.
Okay.
We fought Wolfos before. Do they look like Wolfos tracks?
Not really.
Okay.
These seem a bit more narrow. As for your locate object, Ziden, you concentrate. I don't believe you feel anything that would indicate the ledges themselves.
Not within 1,000 feet.
Within 1,000 feet.
Well, got that for 10 minutes at least. Guess he'll go join in staring at the track.
Okay. As for ethereal investigator friend, you enter the ethereal plane utilizing your blink spell, and it's a bit difficult because you periodically keep disappearing and reappearing in the prime material plane.
yeah, that is the problem there.
Yeah. But while you have your opportunities, roll me an investigation check.
All right. That's a 21.
Okay. So as you bounce in and out, you peer at all the different areas that are within the ethereal plane, and you feel that there is with these footprints, there is a something of a disturbance there. Something has touched this area of the floor here with a kind of weird sort of otherworldly sort of thing. It's like a tear in the ethereal plane, almost like small little scratches, but otherwise.
Can I try and use Arcana to figure out what it might be?
Sure.
There we go. That's a 24.
You believe it to be some
Wait,
kind
those
of.
are two 20. Those are two 19s in a row.
Yeah. You believe that the only creatures that can possibly have an effect on the ethereal plane in such a manner are typically fiends or celestials.
And does it feel celestial in any way, or does it seem fiendish?
It seems a bit off-putting, so you feel like it's a fiend.
Okay. After I get this, if the spell hasn't run its course, I want to drop concentration. Oh wait, no, it's not concentration. It just keeps going, and I wait until I finally feel myself oriented in the material plane again.
We just watch you snap in and out of existence for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Couple seconds then.
Yeah.
Eventually, you guys get eventually Renji retains a decent ping to the prime material plane, and
I have throughput again.
Yay.
Anything?
Possibly infernal abyssal influence. Just bad stuff, perhaps. Seems like someone tore a hole in the fabric of reality to step into here.
There's a wolf track, so some kind of demon wolf.
Wait a minute. Ziden, do you still have that tuft of fur?
Yes.
Okay, I grab the tuft of fur from Ziden, and then I rub it over my knuckles. Does it feel familiar from the thing that kept missing me with its damn boomerang?
Roll oh god. Roll a general intelligence check. I would say a disadvantage, but just roll a general intelligence check and see if your memory picks up.
Come on.
7.
7.
You can't be sure.
Ah, damn it.
I
snap
punched
and
a
I
lot
hand
of
the
fuzzy
thing
things
back.
on this adventure.
I thought it was gonna be like that thingy that kept missing me with the boomerang and hitting everyone else.
Yeah.
Could
Got that boomerang.
be.
But I can't tell. I punch a lot of things, so I don't know. Because it kind of disappeared after we beat it up.
That's true.
Well, I mean, every time that we've ran into something that's kind of like this, I think that it's been tied to bad people doing bad things. And he did tell us
Yeah.
about the shop and the wandering abyss.
You think that name is a little bit too on the nose for that sort of thing?
Well, I think if anyone's gonna be dealing with that kind of thing, it might be where it's from. And they don't let anybody in.
Perhaps we should go gambling a bit.
I hold out my one remaining silver coin.
And I hand you 5 gold pieces.
Oh, okay.
Unless anyone thinks this is a stupid idea.
Oh, I 100% think it's a stupid idea, but Max doesn't know enough to say anything, so.
Ziden was going to suggest he could send out some birds to go scouting the town for what they can locate from the sky.
That's possible, yeah.
Mara just kind of looks at the whole thing and kind of contemplates, like, I wouldn't even know where to start, so, I mean, any lead is a good lead.
So Ziden is going to cast Conjure Animals to summon 8 birds that are appropriate and won't look out of place in this town.
Okay, so seagulls.
Bagel.
And task them to look around from the sky to either find, particularly out of place things, something that might match this fur, if they can spot the book through windows, like this matching ledger through any windows or anything,
Okay.
to generally scout around.
Okay. So 8 seagulls apparate before you, and because they're seagulls, there's just a sudden immediate cacophony of caw, 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 just in front of you before they get their instructions, and then ascend into the sky to go about their task for the next hour, probably. Yeah, so they'll be doing that for a while. So what do you guys do while you wait for them to report back?
So where do we want to stay for the
I was gonna say I
night?
want to try and follow the track as far as I can.
Okay.
I will definitely accompany Max on that one.
Roll another survival.
It's not so good this time, unless someone is helping me.
I wouldn't mind helping.
Hikan's doing alright though.
Yeah, I can't got this.
So you kind of
21.
So Max, since you found the tracks first, you kind of indicate where they're going, but as they kind of transition from garden to cobblestone, they kind of just lose them a bit. But Hikan manages to spot the residue of mud and soil and begins to follow it. The actual tracks kind of head out north before effectively reaching the edge of town and continuing onwards, now leaving the cobblestone and back onto soil and being far easier to track again.
What time of day is it?
It's just coming. Let's say it's about 12:30.
Plenty of time.
Do we want to follow? See how far it goes?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
And so it is that you head on, following this path. And I will change the music to something a bit more appropriate for adventuring. Let's try that. So, you leave town once again and continue onwards. It's a small ridge that kind of overlooks the beach, about a 40-foot tall cliff that kind of ends at a beach at the bottom. But eventually it kind of slopes down, and as it transitions to more marshy territory, you find yourselves coming to around about, let's say, here, within the process of about an hour and a half. And eventually you find yourself in this sort of area, which will eventually load in. There we go.
Is it a bit swampy, marshy type of deal?
Yeah. The tracks seem to end pretty much at this point.
Just vanish into thin air, or step into the swamp?
They just kind of stop.
Yeah, try and see if I can see if it looks like anything's living around here.
Okay, make a perception check.
23.
You don't see any birds, but as you kind of peer over the waters, you do see that there is something in the water. You assume fish of some kind.
Anyone else?
I'd like to draw the Pact Keeper and my shield just to be ready.
Okay.
Let's see what we have here. And
I want to take a look around to see if there's any place that could be used for like a hiding spot or something like that. Like a meeting place that's, well, this is out of the way, but like.
Yeah, make a perception check.
Perception 21.
Okay. There are a variety of places that could be used as a kind of secret meeting spot. Some would say that you could probably situate themselves in this small island in the middle, given it's a distance away from the major shoreline. There are a number of trees that could be hidden next to or in that one could use to as a form of kind of cover for a secret meeting. You think like by a cave
or overlook?
Yeah, there is towards the north of the map, you see that there is a kind of overlook towards the top here.
I pointed out. Think something could have gotten in there?
Maybe.
be. I could try and check it out.
Can't see ways for the rest of us to get up there.
As you're kind of contemplating this, there's you start to hear something, and it's a combination of sounds that definitely don't seem natural the louder they get, but kind of like appearing out of this small outcropping cave are three figures, or I say two figures, one figure and two small objects. The figure itself appears to be a bipedal creature that has this white fur, a hyena-like face, and this kind of leather body armor. And it seems to be chuckling to itself. And alongside it appears to be a pair of these flaming skulls with bat wings coming out what would be the ears. And as they flap, with each flap there is a ha 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 that goes along with it, as if they're kind of laughing rhythmically. And they kind of appear on this ridge. And the creature in the middle says, "Can I help you at all?"
Perhaps. What the hell were you doing in Fairwind's chambers?
Who's that?
Oh, hello. Hi. Renji. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
No, I
Tell
mean,
us.
who's Fairwind? I don't care who you are. But you mentioned a guy named
Oh.
Fairwind, and I wanted to know who he was. I need context for that bit.
Right, we
they're
get the
chatting.
feeling that you were in the area of his...
I was going to say, whilst they're chatting, can I compare the piece of fur I have against that guy's fur? Or am I just going to sight?
You can, and you don't need a perception check. It seems that this guy's fur matches the fur there quite accurately. But yeah, Renji, what was it you were saying to him?
We know that you were in the guy's house, so...
Oh.
Yeah, we followed some tracks from a break-in to here.
Oh yeah, that was me.
Right, why?
Well, you see, the thing about my kind, and he kind of like pulls on his leather armor as if he's pulling the lapels of a jacket, and it says, thing about my kind would be, well, we get pulled into this world for various different things, but usually if we aren't given any orders, we just like to do stuff. And I, personally, find it entertaining to kind of take stuff. And I kind of woke up in this area, looked into this window that I was next to, and found these books that had this little gold writing on it. I thought, oh, those look important. And I thought to myself, well, I could take them. I mean, I can't sell them. I'm a Garaya. I don't think I'd get that much attention in stores, you know? So I thought I'd just keep them, because it's going to inconvenience somebody, and that's funny to me.
Right, do you have those books still?
Can
I was gonna say, do I believe him?
yeah.
Can we roll insights, please?
Sure.
Ziden believes him.
22.
12? I'm not sure.
Reggie, with your 12, you can't be sure whether you believe him, but he is being a colossal ass clown. And
Yeah.
Hikan and Max, with your 15 and 22 respectively, you feel like he's telling the truth mainly as an ego thing, as opposed to lying for the sake of being a shitheel.
Okay.
Oh, well, I have to tell you that it was very impressive and you did a very good job.
It's good to know that I get appreciation for my craft.
Yeah. Can we ask who summoned you?
You see, I don't know. It was weird. Usually we know because they're like right in the same room, but Yeah, this time it wasn't the case.
Hmm.
Interesting.
So, hey, could you give us those books back? I mean, they're not mine, they're not ours, but we'd kind of like them.
Let me think about that. Tell you what. And he takes out a boomerang from his belt, and he throws it, not at you, but south to here. And as he does so, the boomerang gets to that point, and he disappears and reappears in that area. And he says, if you want it, you could just go ahead and take it, if you think you can.
Where is it?
And roll initiative.
Yay!
Bye.
Right.
Initiate.
Initiative. Oof. I only have got a 5.
Okay. And initiative board is there. Oh, wow. Okay. Sweet. Oh, wait, no, there's... Nah, it's fine. Alright. So, first up would be the druid known as Ziden Shari.
I think I should go punch him in the face.
Okay.
That's
So?
my job.
Ziden will shift and change into the form of a giant elk.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
Try and find a way where I can't grab it.
You can't go? Oh, okay, interesting. Give me a sec. Giant. Chic boys. Ziden's creatures. What CR is it?
CR2.
Okay. Huh. Let's see. Edit. In players' journals can be edited and controlled by. Yeah, you should be able to grab it. I will.
Like I could generate it, but I can't control it for whatever reason.
Okay, I've moved it up slightly. Are you able to move it now? Oh wait, no, I think I know what it is. I think I know why. Hold on. There.
There we go. Yeah, now I can grab it.
Yeah.
So,
There we go.
charging elk.
As you get to here, I'd like you
Okay.
to make a dexterity save for me, please.
1 dexterity 7 throw. Hold on. 14.
Okay, so you do manage to get through okay, but as you pass over that specific island, like your heavy foot steps down on something, it sinks further than you expected it to, and there is a big explosion of this viscous goo stuff, black tar almost, that tries to envelop you, but you manage to react just in the nick of time and hop over the rest of the way to avoid it. That area is now covered in what appears to be tanglefoot stuff.
Ew. Gooey.
Oh boy, it's traps again.
And then I will use a charging ram attack
Okay.
for a 21 to hit for all this.
For 24 damage. Is that maximum damage?
No.
No.
No, that's actually not even that high on it, I think.
No, it's 3. You rolled a 3, a 5, a 5, and a 6. Plus 4, plus 1. Jesus. Okay.
Only 5 points removed from maximum damage.
Yeah.
I am the 1 point where it's counted as, what you may call it, magical.
Yeah. So that would be... so I'm going to make you do a strength saving throw.
14, so he's not knocked prone, but he does take a colossal hit as you just gore the Goriah, and he kind of just as you kind of lift him slightly into the air with your colossal antlers, he pulls himself off of them and hops back in front of you and just kind of snarls at you, but still semi-chuckles, as if he is enjoying this. Okay. Next up would be the skull things. Unless, of course, you had anything else that you can do on your turn. I think you did bonus action to transform.
Movement, and punching.
Yeah. Okay.
Punching with your face.
Face punch!
Okay, so the skull things are going. One of them is going to charge right over to the group with its winged speed, and Hikan, as it gets to you, it's going to open its jaws and try and bite at you.
All right.
For a natural 20. So there's a total of 14 piercing damage. And you need to make a charisma saving throw for me, please.
At least I'm okay at those. As soon as
I
my
mean,
stuff
are
loads
you
back up.
carrying anything?
I'm carrying lots of like miscellaneous objects.
In your hands?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
you-
I don't have anything in my hands.
Okay. Make it anyway.
But yeah. So this is 12 because I have my cloak of protection.
Okay. So the jaws bite down on you, and you feel something kind of go numb in your hands. Like you kind of lose a lot of motor function, or it feels like you're losing the weirdest sense of motor functions in your fingers. So while you're not carrying anything, you don't drop anything from your hands, you feel like you probably can't pick anything up similarly.
Huh. Weird. But it's not my turn, so.
And then the remaining bubble will only go as far as it can do, and then that'll be its turn. The Goriah. The Goriah will take its boomerang and is going to fling it first at you, Ziden, and miss, and kind of sails past you. It sails its way towards you, Max. Does a 19 hit you?
Yep.
Okay, so you take 7 slashing damage as the boomerang swings through the air and catches you. And then, let's see. So that would be... I think that's as far as it can go. It could probably go... The boomerang is going to bounce off of you, and it's going to go for Renji.
A 19 does not hit.
No,
A 9
or rather 12 to hit you. So
Okay.
that similarly does not hit.
Can I try and block the boomerang so that it doesn't fly back?
Yeah, you can do. You just kind of you raise up your shield, and it clang bounces off the shield, and as it flips through the air, Ziden, you watch as your Goriah friend vanishes and now appears here.
All right.
Yes. Hikan.
So my fingers are tingly and I can't pick anything up. Huh.
Oh, as the Goriah...
If only you weren't a monk, then that might mean something.
Right. Also, as the Goriah just moves up close to me, I look over at Hikan and Max, and I say, "Try and get away from me, quickly, please."
Like, how far away?
Like at least one more step for you.
But I want to beat up the Goriah. No, I got you. Right.
You're a monk.
Okay,
Punch and then run away.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can do that.
You know that thing you do?
The thing I'm really good at doing. Okay. Sorry. Been a bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop, because I can't punch right now, because I probably can't have difficulty closing my fists. But I'm gonna chop and kick the bubble 3 times. I am using Flurry of Blows.
Yep.
So that would be an unarmed strike, 11.
11 does not hit.
How about a 21?
21 does.
Okay, so I punch it right in its laughing teeth.
Yep.
And then the last one on that one is a 24 for 8.
Okay.
And because I am a drunken master monk, I have disengage because I'm using Flurry of Blows. I go over here, hit the Goriah for flanking.
Okay.
17 for 7.
17 for 7. That is a hit. You slap this guy in the back of the head.
Okay, and to make it easier on everybody, can you make a Constitution saving throw for me?
Sure. That's a good old 7.
So he is stunned, and then I just yeah, don't let those bubble thingies hit you. My fingers are tingly. And then I just go over to the other side of the bubble.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Max.
I'm gonna have to borrow a thing from Hikan's book and make a wisdom check right now. Okay. Max very barely hears what Renji said. Cause getting cut with that boomerang's made him real mad. Yeah, that's the full thing. He's probably gonna go away after that.
Fuck.
And suddenly, this guy, who is stunned,
Yeah.
I believe that stunned means that automatically fail dex saving throws.
Let's have a look.
So he takes a full 40 damage lightning bolt.
Stunned. Creature automatically fails strength and dexterity saving throws. Yes. Yeah. Fuck.
He just lifts. What he does is he lifts the staff, all the sparks come out of it, and he just jams it straight down into the thing's spine.
Oof.
Okay. There is a flurry of lightning as you do so. The strange thing is, despite it taking the full brunt of the lightning bolt, its fur smoking, its body convulsing, it still stands. Barely, though. That was a substantial, terrifying hit.
And since Renji's
nice.
close enough, he can probably see that Max's eyes are glowing right now.
Okay.
I give you a
And,
high five, but I can't feel my hand.
And then he's gonna follow Renji's advice and back up a bit.
Okay.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
No, definitely.
I don't know why I'm saying yeah. It was Renji's request. Okay.
As I see Max's eyes glowing, I look a bit confused. But then, as he steps back, I just nod and smile. And right.
Okay. On Mara's go, she's going to draw her hammer, and then she's going to back up a couple steps. And that'll be her
I
turn.
approve of this action.
Renji.
Right. Seeing Max just go, well, ham on the Goriah, Renji just seeing that everyone has stepped away, as per his request, He just grins widely, looks at the Goriah, and says, "Do you know what comes after lightning?"
Well, you can't say anything because he's stunned.
and with that almost like it almost turns him like a maniacal grin, and Renji just disappears, and just a crack of thunder appears as I use Thunder Step.
Ooh,
Thunder Step.
Yes.
Thunder
I teleport myself to an unoccupied space within range, which will be around here. And the place I leave, a thunderous boom sounds. Each creature within 10 feet of the space I left must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 3d10 thunder damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. So that
roll 10, so that's a fail.
that's a fail, and that is 13 points of thunder damage.
As you vanish and reappear, and you kind of stand. You know what? Fuck it. We haven't done it in a while. How do you want to do this?
Well, I'm thinking the blast of the thunder just blows him into the swamp.
Sploosh.
Sploosh.
Renji, he might have had the books.
On him?
Maybe.
There's too much.
Does
no.
the bubbles coming up from where he landed look rather square shaped?
Oh no.
Make a perception check.
Sure. That's a 24.
You kind of peer at this, like you have the revelation. Oh shit, might have had the books, and you look over, and you find that nothing's rising to the surface that suggests that it's square shaped or book shaped.
You
I meant-
almost had me there.
I meant more the pixely things.
Oh.
Isn't that only with the sword?
Oh. Well, we
Um,
did establish that with Eldritch Blast, they went.
I'm gonna say it's fairly deep, so you are unsure as to whether or not that has happened.
Okay.
Kind of disappears under the murky water,
Mm-hmm.
and the fate of this Goriah is left ambiguous.
For now.
Okay, Ziden.
So these things are still around.
Yes.
Let me see. I go back. So I need to go. So I don't go step. Bull rush.
Okay. 25 for 18. Yeah, that hits. Let's see. Yeah, you kind of you back up and you rush forward. Your colossal size just hits this thing like the side of a barn, and I'm gonna say for the sake of it, because I don't think it's gonna pass a strength save. Yeah.
That's a -1, it's not even a critical failure.
It's a
Wow.
skull.
I'm saying it for the benefit of people on audio.
Yeah, that's fair. That is indeed a -1. As a -4 strength modifier. It is flung several feet back, and there's another sploosh as it disappears underneath the water. There's a bit of a sizzle because it's still technically a flaming flying skull. But yeah. Let's see. Then it is the other bubble's turn. And it's going to try and bite at Renji.
Good.
Only gets a 15 to hit though.
Because I have a high AC.
Yes. So it kind of and like bites onto the rim of your shield and then lets go, and continues doing its ha 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 laughter. Let's see, the Garai is down. Hikan.
So some more judo jumps. So that would be 17 and 16.
Both of them hit for precisely the amount of, for together precisely the amount of damage you needed to just whack. There's a moment where the force of it separates the wings from the side of the skull before the whole thing just splits in two and just collapses to the ground before disintegrating like most fiends do. And then silence resumes over the small swampy area.
Hikan just sits there and just starts shaking his hands, try to get feeling back in them.
Ziden's going to take advantage of his giant form to go boop, bloop, and try and push out
I'm
the body.
going to try and see if there's anything left.
Make a investigation check.
12.
13.
You
Ooh,
kind of have a rummage around.
you one-upped me.
Neither of you seem to find a body.
Oh,
Body of the last one disappeared too, don't forget that.
that's true. Can I try and use Arcana to, like, if I see anything,
Sure.
any remnants?
Go for it. Roll Arcana.
Okay. 13.
Okay. You kind of search around. You see if you can find anything. You recall back that, yeah, for the most part, if the Garai was a fiend, most fiends, when they are defeated or killed, they don't necessarily die, but are shunted back to the plane in which they came from. To kill most fiends, you kind of have to go to their home turf and kill them there. It's possible that when the Garai was defeated to the point where its prime material body had been destroyed, it would have disapparated back to whatever plane it originally came from. But usually when it comes to stuff like Garaias, they usually leave like a scorch mark on the ground, but then you kind of think, well, this one fell into some water, so you're not terribly sure. It's hard to tell whether or not this one had been sent back to where it came from or if this one had been harvested.
I want to try and just in my thoughts, kind of try and establish a connection with the harvester to try and say, like, so is that one yours now?
Make a charisma check.
Okay. 19.
There is a brief period where it's just where there's a silence and says, "Oh, Renji, you disappoint me. He got away. Cursed thing."
The little one-liner was cool, wasn't it? I guess you're supposed to go all like the bubbles now. Ha 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 ha.
The day this contract is ended, Renji, will be a sweet one. And then your connection is promptly severed.
Get some brain freeze feedback.
How's Mara looking?
She's looking a little shaken, but as you guys kind of decombatify, she kind of relaxes a bit and says, "Okay, that was new."
Yeah, I'd help you, but I can't feel my hands.
Oh, bubble bites usually wear off a minute or so.
Okay, good. Because I don't want to be like this forever. It looks like he laid out a bunch of traps, though.
Yeah, Gariahs with time tend to do that. And she kind of wanders forward a little, and maneuvers over to this little plank here and says,